So if people join a little bit late, or if you want to go back and check it out, it will be recorded and put on our website at ecapitaladvisors.com. Just so everybody's aware, the phones are muted, so if we could wait for questions until after the demo and presentation is done, we would love to be able to interact with you guys and answer any questions that you might have. By way of introduction, for those of you who haven't met me, my name is Spencer Tollickson, Solutions Sales Specialist with eCapital Advisors. And with me, going through the second part of the presentation, actually doing the demo of Planning Analytics, is Pre-Sales and Solutions Specialist Andrew Von Eschen. So you will be hearing from him shortly. Again, welcome everybody. Yes, the day is finally here. Planning Analytics demo is ready, and we are super pumped to show you guys everything that's new about Planning Analytics, the much anticipated Planning Analytics, I might add. So if we could just jump right into this. Again, let me know, this is being recorded, but let me know if you'd like a copy of the deck or the presentation. All my contact information is listed below, so I'll kind of give everybody 10 seconds or so to jot down my email address or any of the numbers on their work if you want to follow up. Again, I'll address this at the end, but would love to talk to you guys kind of on a one-on-one basis after you get a little bit of the flavor of the Planning Analytics and join you on site or perhaps a more in-depth WebEx. So let me know. Feel free to reach out and contact me for any reason. Again, Planning Analytics is here. Before Planning Analytics, and even at this time last year, the whole migration to the cloud, the conversations were weak at best. They were almost even non-existent. So that was at this time last year, and now recently, probably within the last 5 to 7 months or so, it seems like everybody is moving into the cloud. So of course, IBM, what they did was they created a cloud solution, and they actually released it in November. I'm sure you've probably all kind of heard about it. It's going to be coming to your desktop soon, but in terms of some of the extras that you get, BI capabilities, as well as the much anticipated and heard about Watson Analytics. So we are super excited to show you everything that has to do with Planning Analytics here today. So the cloud has a tunnel for your data, and don't worry, it's still going to have to do with the in-memory OLAP cube engine technology, but it moves that data through the tunnel to the cube. And now what's great about Planning Analytics, the new interactions. So Andrew will actually show you in a little bit some of those new interactions in the actual demo. Yes, it's here. This is finally what we've all been waiting for. We all wanted a front-end dashboard, which TM1 did not have. Now we have it. And to go on with that front-end dashboard, again, Andrew will show some of this in the demo, but there are extremely rich visuals from a dashboarding perspective. So that is one of the things that's new and greatest to Planning Analytics as opposed to TM1. The Planning Analytics workspace, this is going to be a new concept for everybody, which will contain folders, which then contain these workbooks. And the workbooks will actually support out your templates. And again, Andrew will show and express on this in the demo itself. This is all new, and yes, we've all been waiting for it, but it has the dashboarding capabilities. We can now do great things with scorecarding. Again, this is all brand new to Planning Analytics, which TM1 didn't really have before from a scorecarding perspective, and we can now do great things with dashboarding and scorecarding. And all of you extensive Excel users out there just need to take a deep breath and breathe a little bit, that we're not giving up Excel. We're actually expanding on it, which creates a one-stop shop for all of your Excel analysis. And again, Andrew's going to show and touch on this in the demo itself. One of the key differences here that TM1 didn't allow in the past was managed reporting. Planning Analytics now has that capability. And the last thing is, we're not going to actually touch on it today in the demo, but Watson Analytics is including in Planning Analytics. So if you want actually a free trial, you can just go to Google and Google Watson Analytics and actually get a chance to play around with it. But in Planning Analytics, Watson will be included. So now I would like to turn it over to Andrew for the actual demo and the much anticipated Planning Analytics. Andrew?
Perfect. Thank you, Spencer. Well, I'm excited. I am very excited to share with you guys planning analytics, what it looks like, what it entails, what it feels like. You know, I know many of you guys have probably seen and heard, as Spencer talked about, planning analytics, what it is, when it's coming. You know, there's a lot of excitement that drummed up at Insight when they kind of talked about it. But now it's here, right? And I'm inside it, and I'm looking at it, I'm feeling it. It's a totally, you know, new, revamped user experience, user interface. So as I look around here, I've got, you know, a different way to view my information. I can see my planning analytics. I can see my reporting that I can quickly get to. I've got my Watson Analytics for my Explore and Predict, right? The other thing that I have available, as Spencer was talking about, is more of this workbook type of structure. So as I look down at the bottom here, I've got some folders that house my content, right? So I can see I've got some content inside of this SmartCo folder, and it actually brings up my workbooks. So I can see I've got all my different workbooks that coincide with maybe it's my business unit, my department. It's those like-minded objects that I want to create some of that similarity to. Now, as I open up some of these workbooks, what you'll see is I've got the ability to look at it in multiple ways and facets. The first one that I want to talk about or focus on is that scorecarding, right? So some of us, you know, who have moved to the later releases of TM1, we've seen that scorecarding, what it can do, but you know, there were some limitations of how we could observe and view that information. We didn't have a really rich visual dashboarding capability that would enable us to have, you know, statuses and forecasting trends of how we're performing, whether things are getting better or worse, right? Some of the cause and effects. So to be able to actually hover over my net profit and see, you know, what's my actual, what's my budget, where am I trending, where did I miss, right? Looks like things are off in my gross margin. I can quickly come in and analyze what's going on in my gross margin to say, you know what, was it my cost of sales or my gross revenue that actually caused me to miss and has this in a red negative state? For other people that have, you know, more of your KPIs defined to another degree where you actually want to take into account company goals, you know, or other types of KPIs and other types of scorecarding, we have all that built in now, where I can actually see here's our goals for the year, right? I can see all of the drivers that drill into that and how we're performing on each of those. So it's a great visual representation of those metrics, right? I also have multiple tabs inside this workbook. So if I want to get to some revenue analysis, I can quickly see, you know, all my product information, my product data by quarter, right? The great thing with planning analytics, and really where we've taken this, is it's very visual. So if I wanted to see, you know, maybe the breakdown not by my channel total, but by retail, for example, as I click on this, what's going to happen is my charts are going to start to change very quickly and dynamically as I'm interacting. So maybe I want to see things now by distribution, and maybe it's not by volume, it's by gross revenue, right? So just by simply clicking on my individual, think of them as a slicer or prompts, right? It's dynamically changing all of that data. So I can very quickly start to hone in and pinpoint and see that information. The other awesome thing about planning analytics that's rolled out is the ability to do more of a storyboard. And I think this is just, it's fantastic. Now, as I kick this off, you guys will kind of see this. It's starting to cycle through and actually dynamically change my data to convey that story of how we're performing, right? So in this example, we're looking at it by a department or a business unit, but if I wanted to, you know, set this as a time period, right, and I wanted to see how my sales are trending by each month for each of my different product lines or my offerings or my business units, right, I could see that convey the story of how we've been performing by each individual time period. Now, all this stuff looks great and all, but what goes into actually making this? You know, how difficult is this to create a dashboard or to do some analysis on this information? So I'm actually going to jump in and show you guys kind of the ease of use of how to build one of these dashboards. So on the top here, I'm going to jump back to my welcome screen. Right in the middle, I've got my little add button, which enables me to choose, you know, do I want to start a new planning book or do I want to start with a folder? Now, I really want to start with my book. And once I jump in here, as Spencer talked about, I've got a template type of look and feel, right, where I can decide maybe I want to do something freeform. Do I want to have kind of this tabbed look and feel where I've got some quadrants that I can work off of? I want to start with this freeform because I just want to start to drag and drop my different view and information in. Now, what you'll notice on the left-hand side, as many of you guys, you know, are fairly familiar with in TM1 Web, right? We've got still our model, our application out there. We've got, you know, our cubes in our applications folder, so we can grab reports. We can grab our different worksheets or workbooks. If I wanted to do some analysis of my cubes, I can simply expand those and maybe I want to do a little bit of my revenue cube. I want to explore and expand some of my different revenue metrics and see kind of how things have been performing. So I'm going to expose out my views. I've got a few in here. Maybe I just want to grab this revenue reporting view, right, where I can actually see my different months, my organization's running along the top, or my business units. I've got all my different context that's available. You know, I like numbers, but I'm also a visual guy. So I want Planning Analytics to convert this to some type of chart. Now, if I expose out the menu pane here at the top, I have this whole visualization and charting option available. I'm an area guy, but I can see all of the other types of visuals I have available. So whether it's a bar, it's a line, it's a heat, it's a line and column, it's stacked, it's word clouds, right? I can simply just choose whatever my heart desires, and I can let Planning Analytics do the heavy lifting for me. So now it's painted this great, very rich visual for me to consume and see. Now, if I want to shrink this down a little bit so it doesn't take up my full workbook, I can just simply drag that up. Planning Analytics readjusts, shifts everything, still maintains that great look and feel, but enables me to quickly not have to worry about resizing, reorienting, reshifting things. The next piece I actually want to do is I want to be able to bring in some additional data and start to work with it and really see what happens if I do some what-if style scenarios. So I added in another slice of my data. I'm looking at some of my information. But you know what? I don't want to start doing what-if on my total company. I want to get down to a very specific business unit or department or cost center to actually do some of that scenario or what-if style analysis. So one of the other new enhancements is the ability to do what's called snap commands, right? Where I can actually come in and you know, everybody knew the pain before of having to actually go in and look at, you know, my subset to say, you know, grab this element, it's nested under, you know, these 6 parents, return it. Now I can simply just search for it, right? And if I can spell Massachusetts right, that'd be great. There we go. So you can see what it did there is it actually filtered down my organization to Massachusetts. Now, if I want to make some tweaks here, and maybe you know what, my offering of 3G smartphones is going to be a little bit higher in January. It's going to be closer to 4,000. I can simply come in and click, and what's awesome about this is as I hit enter, you notice it updates the chart above. You know, maybe you didn't catch that, so I'll do a larger number just so we can really show this. If I change it to 20K in Feb, right, this whole chart dynamically changes to reflect that increase. I think that's awesome. I mean, think about the power to just be able to quickly visually say, hey, I've made an update. What's that actually look like from a visual standpoint, not just a numeric? Now, I filtered this down just on a very simple element. Snap commands also works in regards to subsets, right? So to the extent you guys have a lot of subsets out there, I've got one that I want to reference. It's my workflow subset, right? I can simply come back in, select it. It changes out that corresponding dimension that that subset resides in and makes that change. That's awesome. That to me is just fantastic that we've been able to do that. Now, the last piece I really want to do here is I want to be able to filter the context of my my 2 different objects here that I've built in. So if I come back to all my different dimensions that I have available inside this cube, and I just right-click on, for example, channel, I can add this as what they call a selector widget. But think of this as more of your prompting or the ability to quickly slice and dice your data, right? So I've now added this in, and what I need to do from here is just set my objects to sync, right? It makes logical sense. I need things to sync up with what I'm trying to do. So if I come up and just do a synchronize of my dimensions, as I start interacting with this, I'll see my charts and my objects start to change. So whether it's my internet, it's my distribution channel, right? I can see how everything just very dynamically changes to that selection. So right there, within about 5 minutes, I've now constructed a dashboard that I can use for not only input, but also for slicing and dicing and filtering. That to me is just fantastic, right? The ability to do that in minutes instead of days or weeks or months. I can do that in minutes and seconds. Now, the other thing that I really want to highlight here is kind of the new look and feel of Cafe, right? So as I open up Excel and Cafe, many of you guys probably haven't used Cafe. I know there's a lot of you that are big diehards of perspectives. I can tell you perspectives is not going away, but they've added all of the functionality of perspectives into Cafe, right? So we've now got our active forms, we've added in our action buttons, right? A lot of the things that really drove people to use perspectives for web sheets and things like that, we have the ability to do that inside Cafe. So I want to come in and actually create a new crosstab and just start to slice and dice my data. So if I come in, I'm working with that same revenue data. I can just grab a view and drag and drop it onto the screen. Now, for many of you guys, this might look very familiar, right? Where we're in more of a cube view. I've got my rows, my columns, my context along the top. I can do the same thing that I can do inside the web or inside of a cube view, where if I wanted to reorient this and say my product total should, or my product should actually be where my channels are, I can just click on it and drag it, replace out those members inside of Excel. So bye-bye are the days of having to reopen up that cube view, reorient, go through the whole process of figuring out, is this the right way? Do I want to make it a slice? Do I want to make it an active form? Is it a snapshot? How do I bring it out? I can do it inside Excel, right? That's huge. It takes away so much time of having to go through that process. The other great thing about kind of the new redesign is I have the ability to just quickly slice or expand and collapse any of my dimensions. So if I don't want to see this fully expanded and I just want to see, you know, 3G smartphones collapsed, I just double click. It expands and collapses on the fly. So I have the ability to do that inside of Excel just by simply double clicking. Now I want to take this and kind of reorient my view a little bit. I want to close all these up, and I want to take this out and create this as more of a report, a standardized report, not any more of this analysis or slicing and dicing, right? So as I come up, I can convert it to formulas, flex views, active forms, right? So all you perspectives users out there, we have that built in and we can use it. I just want to make a quick flex view. Now I pulled this out on a new sheet. I'm just going to simply hover over and highlight my products and my months, and I want to do a quick insert. So now that I'm working in Excel, right, I've got all my Excel functionality. If I want to add some charts or some visuals, I can quickly do that. If I want to filter out my product totals, right, I can filter that out and apply. I can see that change, that 20,000 unit change that I made in Massachusetts since I'm working in it in February. That's why it's massive. So all that data flows through in real time, as you can see. Let me expand this out a little bit so it looks a little nicer. Now, in the past, when we've had these reports that we've built out in a perspective style setting, you know, when we want to make an update to a dimension, we've got to double click. It brings up the subset editor, forces us to go through the whole hassle of reorienting and navigating. I can simply choose inside here to say, hey, let's make this a one-stop shop for all my users. I just want to replace out my members. I can grab whatever level of the hierarchy I want, make it available for users to choose, right? And now it becomes a pick box where I can say, hey, I don't want to see Massachusetts, I want to see Florida. It refreshes my data real time and shows me exactly what Florida looks like, or Washington, right, or any of the other corresponding elements inside of that drop down. I could do this on any other dimension that I have available, not only, you know, just this one, but if I wanted to go by years or versions or even my measures, I have the ability to do that, right? Once I've got this looking the way I want, I can simply just, you know, kind of insert a couple extra rows. Let's add in a quick title here, my revenue report. Right, I'll just quickly merge and center this, add in some coloring, make this thing look nice and pretty, make it a little bigger. Right, and then I can just come up and hide my headings and my grid lines, and boom, I've got a report. Very simple, very quick, very easy. I mean, this is awesome stuff. It's so cool kind of where this is going, and the new enhancements of Cafe, incorporating in all those perspectives features that everybody loves and adores. All right. So with that, I'm going to jump back here. Let's leave this open for some Q&A.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, again, thank you, Andrew, for that. I know we covered a lot. Andrew covered a lot in a very short period of time. So if there's any questions, we would like to open it up for that right now. All right, if there's no questions, here's all my contact information. You'll be hearing from here shortly. We would love the opportunity to either go in depth more with planning analytics with you, whether it's with an online WebEx, or certainly would relish the opportunity to come visit you guys on site and talk more about planning analytics. But again, if there's no follow-up questions at this point, everybody have a great rest of the lunch hour. We certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us. And for those of you who stepped in a little bit late, no need to worry. This has been recorded, and it will be on our website shortly, so you can go there to view it as well. Otherwise, again, all my contact info is listed in front of you. Please feel free to reach out for any reason. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend.